Jessica let out a shriek and dropped it, clapping a hand over her mouth. I'm sorry, Charlie said, hesitantly grabbing the rabbit's head off the floor. I took him apart to study. I'm using some of his parts in my project. She gestured at the thing on her desk. Oh, Jessica said, trying to hide her dismay. She glanced around the room and suddenly realized that the rabbit's parts were everywhere. His cotton ball tail was on Charlie's pillow, and a leg hung off the lamp above her desk. His torso lay in the corner, almost out of sight, ripped open savagely. Jessica looked at her friends around, cheerful face, and frizzy shoulder length brown hair. Jessica closed her eyes for a long moment. Oh, Charlie, what's wrong with you? Jessica, Charlie said. The girl's eyes were closed, her expression pained. Jessica? This time she opened her eyes and gave Charlie a sudden bright smile, turning on a cheer like a faucet. It was disconcerting, but Charlie had gotten used to it. Jessica blinked hard like she was resetting her brain. So, are you nervous about seeing John? She asked. Charlie thought for a moment. No, I mean, why should it be? It's just John, right? Charlie tried to laugh but gave up. Jessica, I don't know what to talk about, she burst out suddenly. What do you mean? I don't know what to talk about with him, Charlie said. If we don't have something to talk about, then we'll start talking about what happened last year, and I just can't. Right, Jessica looked thoughtful. Maybe she won't bring it up, she offered. Charlie sighed, glancing back at her covered experiment with longing. Of course, he will. As all we have in common, she sat down heavily on her bed and slumped over. Charlie, you don't have to talk about anything you don't want to talk about, Jessica said gently. You can always just cancel on him. But I don't think John's going to put you on the spot. He cares about you. I doubt what happened in a hurricane is what's on his mind. What does that mean? I just mean Jessica gingerly pushed aside a pile of laundry and sat next to Charlie, glancing at a hand on her knee. I just mean that maybe it's time that you both move past that, and I think John is trying to. Charlie looked away and stared fixedly at Theodore's face, head down on the floor. You mean go over it? How do I even begin? Jessica's voice softened. This can't be your whole life anymore. I know, Charlie sighed. She decided to change the subject. How was your class anyway? Charlie wiped her eyes, hoping Jessica would take the hint. Awesome. Jessica stood and stretched, bending over to touch her toes and instantly giving Charlie a chance to compose herself. When Jessica stood again, she was smiling brilliantly, back in character. Do you know that corpses can be preserved in peat bogs like mummies? Charlie wrinkled her nose. I do now. So, is that what you're going to do when you graduate? Crawl around in peat bags looking for bodies? Jessica shrugged. Maybe. I'll get you a hazmat suit for your graduation gift, Charlie joked. She looked at her watch. Time to go. Wish me luck. She brushed her hair back with her hands, peering into the mirror that hung on the back of the floor. I feel like a mess. You look great. Jessica gave her an encouraging nod. I've been doing sit ups, Charlie said awkwardly. Huh? Forget it. Shirley grabbed her backpack and headed for the door. Go knock his socks off, called to Charlie as she left. I don't know what that means, Charlie replied, letting the door swing closed before she finished speaking. Charlie spotted him as she approached the main entrance to the campus. John was leaning on the wall reading a book. His brown hair was as messy as ever, and he was wearing a blue t shirt and jeans, dressed more casually than the last time she'd seen him. John, she called, her reluctance falling away as soon as she saw him. He put away his book, grinned widely, and hurried to her. Hey, Charlie, he said. He stood there awkwardly. Then Charlie extended her arms to hug him. He held her tightly for a moment, then abruptly released her. You got taller, she said accusingly, and he laughed. I did, he admitted. He gave her a searching look. You look exactly the same, though, he said with a puzzling smile. I cut my hair, Shelley said in a mock outrage. She ran her fingers through it, demonstrating. Oh, yeah, he said. I like it. I just mean you're the same girl I remember. I've been doing sit ups, Shelley said with a rising panic. Huh? John gave her a confused look. Never mind, are you hungry? Charlotte asked. I have about an hour before my next class. We could get a burger. There's a dining hall not far from here. Yeah, that would be great, John said, Charlie pointed across the quad. That way, come on. So what are you doing here? Charlie asked as they sat down with their trays. Sorry, she added. Did that sound rude? Not rude at all, though. I would have to also accepted. John, to what circumstances do I owe the pleasure of this delightful reunion? Yeah, that sounds like me, Charlie said drearily. But seriously, what are you doing here? Got a job? In St. George? She asked. Why? In Hurricane, actually, he said, his voice self consciously casual. Are you in school somewhere? Charlie asked. John blushed, looking down at his plate for a moment. I was going to, but it's a lot of money to read books when a library card is free, you know. My cousin got me a job in construction and I'm working on my writing when I can. I figured if I'm going to be an artist, I don't have to be a starving one. He took an illustrated bite of his hamburger and Charlie grinned. So, why here? She insisted, and he held up a finger as he finished chewing. The storm, he said. Charlie nodded. The storm had hit Hurricane before Charlie came to St. George, and people talked about it in capital letters. The storm. It wasn't the worst the area has ever seen, but it was close. A tornado had risen up from nowhere and ripped through whole towns, rising in one house to the ground with sinister precaution, while leaving the one next to it untouched. There had been much damage in St. George, but Hurricane had been real destruction. How bad is it? Charlie asked, keeping her tone light. You haven't been? John said incredulously. It was Charlie's turn to look away awkwardly. She shook her head. It's bad in places, he said, mostly on the outskirts of town. Charlie, I assumed you'd been. He bit his lip. What? Something about his expression was souring her. Your dad's house. It was one of the ones that got hit, he said. Oh, something Lennon was growing in Charlie's chest. I don't know. You really didn't even go back to check? I didn't think of it, Charlie said. That's not true. She thought 1,000 times of going to her father's house, but it never occurred to her that the house might have been hit in a storm. In her mind, it was impregnable, unchanging. It will always be there just as her father had left it. She closed her eyes and pictured it. The front steps sagged into disrepair, but the house itself stood like a fortress, protecting what was inside. Is it gone? Charlie asked, the words faint. No, John said quickly. No, it's still there, just damaged. I don't know how much. I just drove by. I didn't think I should go there with you. Charlie nodded, only half listening. She felt far away. She could see John, hear him, but there was a layer of something between them, between her and everything else. Everything but the house itself. I would have thought. Didn't your aunt tell you what happened? John asked. I have to get to class, Charlie said. It's that way. She gestured vaguely. Charlie, have you been okay? She didn't look at him, and he placed his hand over hers. She still didn't look up. She didn't want to see her face. Okay, she repeated, then slipped her hand out from under his and shrugged her shoulders up and down, like he was trying to get something off her back. I had my birthday, she offered, and she finally lowered her gaze to meet his. I'm sorry I missed it, John said. No, that's not. She tipped her head from side to side as if she could level out her thoughts too. Do you remember that I had a twin? What? John sounded puzzled. Of course I do. I'm sorry, Charlie. Is that what you meant about your birthday? She nodded, making tiny motions. John held out his hand again and she took it. She could feel his pulse through his thumb. Ever since we left Hurricane, you know how twins are supposed to be connected. Have some kind of special bond? Sure, he said. Ever since we left, ever since I found out he was real, I felt like he was there with me. I know he's not. He's dead, but for that whole year, I didn't feel alone anymore. Shirley, John's hand tied on hers, you know you're not alone. No, I mean, really not alone. Like, I have another self. Someone who's a part of me and is always with me. I've had these feelings before, but they came and went, and I didn't pay much attention to them. I didn't think they meant something. Then I learned the truth, and those memories started coming back to me. John, I felt whole in a way I don't even know how to describe. Her eyes began to fill with tears, and she pulled her hand back to brush them away. Hey, he said softly, it's okay. That's great, Charlie. I'm glad you have that. No, no, that's the thing. I don't. She met his eyes, desperate for him to understand what she was so awkwardly trying to say. He's disappeared. That sense of completeness is gone. What? It happened on my birthday. I woke up and I just felt, she said, searching. There wasn't a word for it. Alone? John said. Incomplete. She took a deep breath, pulling herself back together. But the thing is, it's just not lost. It's like he's trapped somewhere. I have these dreams where I can feel him on the other side of something, like he's so close to me, but he's stuck somewhere, like he's in a box, or I'm in a box. I can't tell. John stared at her, momentarily speechless. Before he could figure what to say, Charlie stood interruptedly. I need to leave. Are you sure? You haven't even eaten, he said. I'm sorry, she broke off. It's so good to see you. She hesitated, then turned to walk away, possibly for good. She knew she disappointed him. Charlie, would you like to go out with me tonight? John's voice sounded stiff, but his eyes were warm. Sure, that would be great, she said, giving a half smile. Don't you have to get back to work, though? It's only half an hour anyway, John said. He cleared his throat. But I meant, do you want to go out with me? I just said yeah, Charlie repeated, slightly irritated. John sighed. I mean on a date, Charlie. Oh, Charlie started him for a moment. Right. You don't have to do anything you don't want to. Jessica's voice echoed in her head, and yet she realized she was smiling. Yes. Yes, a date. Okay, yeah. There's a movie theater in town. She hazarded, vaguely recalling that movies were something people did on dates. John nodded vigorously, apparently as lost at sea as she was now that the question had been asked. Can we have dinner first? There's that Thai place down the street. I can meet you there around 8. Yeah, sounds good. Bye. Shirley grabbed her backpack and hurried out the dining room door, realizing she stepped into the sunshine that she left them in to clean up their table alone. Sorry. As Shirley headed across the quad to her next class, her step grew more purposeful. It was a basic computer science class. Writing code wasn't as exciting as what Dr. Treadwell taught, but Charlie still liked it. It was absorbing detailed work. A single error could ruin everything. Everything? She thought of her impending date. The idea that a single error could ruin everything suddenly carried an awful weight. Charlotte hurried up the steps to the building and stepped short as a man blocked her path. It was Clay Burke. Hey, Charlie, he smiled, but his eyes were grave. Charlie didn't see Hurricane's chief of police, her friend Carlton's father, since the night they escaped Freddy's together. Looking now at his weathered face, she felt a brush of fear. Mr. Burke, Claire, what are you doing here? Charlie, do you have a second? He asked. Her heart sped up. Is Carlton okay? She asked urgently. Yes, he's fine, Burke assured her. Walk with me. Don't worry about being late. I'll give you a note for class, at least. I think an officer of the law has authority to do that. He winked, but Charlie didn't smile. Something was wrong. Charlie followed him back down the stairs. When they were a dozen feet from the building, Burke stopped and met her gaze, as if he were looking for something. Charlie, we found a body, he said. I want you to take a look at it. You want me to look at it? I need you to see it. Me, she said, the only thing she could. Why? Does it have to do with Freddy's? I don't want to tell you anything until you've seen it, Burke said. He started walking again, and Charlie hurried to keep up with his long stride. She followed him to the parking lot just outside the main gate and got into his car without a word. Charlie settled into her seat, a strange dread stirring within her. Clay Burke glanced at her and she gave a sharp, quick nod. He pulled the car out onto the road and they headed back to Hurricane.